Please stand for invocation and pledge the flag.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you this noonday to give thanks for our city. We are most thankful that you've given us peace in a time of unrest. You've given us a taste of prosperity in a time of business uncertainty. We're thankful for the businesses that have safely opened during this time of pandemic and pray for their continued success. We're thankful for this board of mayor and commissioners and for the many positive projects that we're seeing to completion today. Give us wisdom and guidance as we strive to make the right decisions for our city and its people. Bless our city manager, our staff and employees, and our viewing audience today. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A motion to receive and file the call letter.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearings and reports. Commissioners, anything?
I would like to say, just for a moment, reflect on this past week. We lost an icon for the nation, and that was with John Robert Lewis. He was an American politician and a civil rights leader, and he served in the U.S. House of Representatives for Georgia's 5th Congressional District from 1987 until his death just recently. John Lewis was a phenomenal man. He started out, you can't be too young, because he was 15 when he started to work toward helping and volunteering, and he wasn't too old because he worked up until the day he died, and he was in his 80s. He left us with this one beautiful thought. In his nonviolent style, he chose love over hate. He said, "We are one people with one family. We all live in the same house. And through books, through information, we must find a way to say to people that we must lay down the burden of hate, for hate is too heavy a burden to bear." That's a thought that I would like for all of you to take with you and share it with others as we remember John Robert Lewis.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Had impact on many, many important issues through his service. We lost a great leader.
Yes.
Anyone else?
You got anything, or you want me to go?
Just a few, Mayor.
Sure.
We all attended the prayer vigil at New Hope Baptist Church, which is Bernice's church, and I'm thankful for Reverend Stanley McDonald and the Ministerial Association for inviting us, and it was a great time. We all got to speak, along with the city manager, and we had a good time of prayer. It was a time of unity, and I really am thankful for that event, and I hope hopefully there'll be more. Just the other few things, of course, I'm very interested in the businesses, and we were all there just a few minutes ago at the mill that opened up where Alma's was, and there's a very successful business opened by Michael Ann Miller and her family. And then, of course, I had to sample the ice cream on Monday.
So you did well.
At Witt's ice cream, Witt's custard. But I got my wits mixed up. But anyway, it's going to be a great success up there, and a great right on Winchester Avenue. And then Bombshells and Burgers opened up last week, so we got lunch and dessert and dinner covered right now with the new businesses, and all these businesses opened up during the pandemic, so they had great faith in our city and our people. And so I'm wishing them well and all success.
Well, let me add, Commissioner, that I think we have mentioned this before. I know I have. I think you all have too. That many of our places are big on carry-out nowadays. And of course, just like the new custard place, you just have a mask on. You walk in, and in our restaurants, you can call ahead. all of them that I know of, you can call ahead and they'll have it ready and bring it to your car.
Yes.
So let's continue to support these people that are struggling, and it's got to be a struggle for all of them, and do our part the best we can, and to hope our citizens do the same. Commissioner?
The only thing I have to add, this Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., our good friends at My Town TV are hosting a telethon for the United Way COVID Relief Fund, and that is a virtual telethon, so you can watch it on My Town, but you will have the opportunity to donate to the COVID Relief Fund through the United Way. Through that telethon, you'll be able to text, you can get online, you can call. So that's my little plug for the 6 to 8 p.m. for the United Way. The COVID Relief Fund is out there to help nonprofits make it through this pandemic and help them with the expenses and things they need for that.
Thank you. And
You're welcome.
You know, you called me about doing, and Jeremy, I didn't get over there. Is it too late to do a spot for United Way?
No,
Didn't you?
you can still go do it.
Or we can do it after this? Okay, because I want to show my support and help in any way I possibly can. Okay.
The only other thing that I have, and maybe this might not be appropriate for right this second, since our last meeting, I just want to give just a moment to recognize that we lost a great supporter of the children in our city. Miss Connie Relaford passed away last week, and there's not anybody here who hasn't or wasn't touched in some way by her compassion and her love for us, for our babies, for everyone's children. Of course, she was at the Resource Center, South Ashland Family Resource Center for, I don't know, 100 years it seemed. And so when we get to the end, if we can remember to maybe adjourn in her memory, I would greatly appreciate that.
We'll do it. Thank you. I worked with her many years, as Bernice did.
Yes.
Of course, she did everything. She took up tickets, Tomcat games, but she was a tireless worker for the disadvantaged and those kids that had one or no parents at home, raised by others, and she had a heart for that. And, there's a rhyme and reason for someone that did so much in such a short time to pass. And I've thought a lot about her. I've worked with her in many different instances in trying to assist kids. And I might add, her father was a retired city employee that I know that Hank, his work ethic was right in her veins. So I didn't realize it till I read the obituary that she was his daughter. But so she had good stock to do the work she did. Thanks for thinking of her.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins, I know you don't have a mic over there. You have anything you'd like to say?
I'm good, Mayor.
Sign language or anything? Okay. Excitingly, who wants to take over for Destination Ashland?
Mayor, I was threatened within an inch of my life not to steal any thunder from the presentation today, so I will simply introduce Carrie Tagg. Works at King's Daughter Medical Center and a member of the Destination Ashland team.
Good thinking, City Manager. Carrie, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Well, as Mike said, my name is Carrie Tagg. I serve as a representative of King's Daughters Medical Center on the Destination Ashland team. Thank you for allowing this opportunity to provide a brief update of our progress to the board today. We were originally scheduled to present in March, but the COVID pandemic delayed those plans like many others. You may recall that in November of 2019, Roger Brooks, one of the world's leading specialists on community branding, downtown development, and destination marketing, came to Ashland to share his expertise with our community. This training was paid for by the Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grant. As a result of this training, the Destination Ashland team was appointed by are listed on this slide. Many of them are joining us online today.
Well, let's name them, okay? You care if I do it?
I don't care if you do it.
I appreciate each of you, if you're watching, wherever. We were hoping you would be here so we could give you a thanks in person. You're doing an unbelievable job, and you're doing it for posterity. And there are going to be some great things happening due to these people, and I think we have, working along with my commissioners, we came up with a real good cross-section of our community. And I deeply appreciate, as my commissioners do, each of the work they put in all the time. From the community college, Larry Ferguson, Ashland in Motion, Whitney Lowe, Ashland Central Business District, is that what that's
It's
for?
the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Visitors Bureau, I'm sorry. And also Chairman of the Ashland Park Board, Dr. E.B. Jeviden. Marriott Delta, Jason Camp, the Paramount, David Miller, Downtown Business, Travis Pyatt, Blake Gillum, City Planner Economic Development, Catherine Utzinger, Hospital, our major employer, Carrie Tagg, and Joe Mazawi, Ashland Alliance, Carrie Huffman, Build Ashland, Faith Fountain, and West Thompson, Young Professionals Association, Josh Blanton, City Manager Mike Gracie, Mayor Commissioner appointee Amanda Clark, and our PIO Michelle Grubb. Our personal thanks and a thanks on behalf of our citizens to all of you.
Thank you. When selecting these team members, the mayor and Roger Brooks were adamant that each person be a doer and not just a talker. That is so important because this team is very action-oriented. We got to work immediately following the November training, with our first meeting being held on December 19th. At this meeting, we were each given a very detailed 2-year action plan, which was provided by Mr. Brooks. This plan was thoughtfully developed as a result of the time he spent here and customized for our downtown. We quickly joined the Destination Development Association, which gave us access to more specific trainings, videos, and webinars. Our next item of business was to create and launch a community survey, which we did in early January. This survey was conducted online and promoted via social media, as well as with flyers and table tents, which the team distributed throughout our area in restaurants, malls, shops, and at large venues. Several team members engaged residents in the survey during speaking events. For example, Commissioner Clark was speaking at a local high school, and the students took the survey as part of her talk. David Miller encouraged people who were touring the Paramount Art Center to pull out their smartphones and take the survey at the end of the tour. Josh Blanton shared the link to the Young Professionals Association. The link was also shared by Build Ashland, the Ashland Alliance, the Visitors Bureau, and the city website. In addition, team members encouraged family, friends, and colleagues to take the survey. As a result of those efforts, we had almost 1,000 responses, which is very good given the 6-week time frame that the survey was open. It is also nice to see in the graph that the age groups from 20 on up were equally well represented. We took the results of the survey and we developed word clouds. For those of you who may not have used word clouds before, they work by highlighting the words that appear most frequently among the responses. As you can see in this slide, the words that appeared most often when asked what should or could be done in Ashland to get people to spend more time and money here are activities, businesses, restaurants, events, and entertainment in downtown. We began to sort and study the results of the survey, running them through a feasibility test to find a central theme on which a brand could be developed. This is not an easy process, and it takes several meetings to complete and fine-tune. What we do know is that our community is very creative, and that creativity is seen across many areas, including music, culinary, performing, and designing arts. Another important component of the work plan for Mr. Brooks was for the city to hire a public information officer. Michelle Grubb accepted that position in January of 2020 and has been instrumental in this process and to the Destination Ashland team. Without her, this work would not be nearly as organized nor as fun. She is a true gem, and we are lucky to have her sharing her time and talents in Ashland. Moving forward, the goal for our area organizations is to work together and pull in the same direction to own and promote Ashland's brand. We also know that engaging our young professionals in this process is critical, as they are our future. Another key development occurring during this time is the construction and redesign of the 16th Street Plaza. Mr. Brooks acknowledged this space as exactly what is needed to host the activities and events mentioned in the community survey. So what's next? We are encouraging businesses to take advantage of the Downtown Development Association trainings. The insight that is shared in these trainings is invaluable. The team will continue to apply for grants and create partnerships with interested businesses and organizations to purchase outdoor seating, games, string lights, as well as interactive stations for music and photo opportunities. If, in fact, we are to create a space that becomes the living room of our community, then our goal is to see at least 240 activities and events downtown each year. And these don't have to be done to the scale of some of our traditional large events every time. They can be film festivals, paintings by the river, book signings, lawn games, walking tours, outdoor live music, and small concerts. Of course, our ultimate goal is to increase spending downtown. As we continue the branding process, the Destination Ashland team would like to ask the board to adopt the name The District for the strip from 13th to 18th Streets along Winchester, including Carter to Greenup Avenues. Calling this area The District will aid in our marketing efforts to promote the place where people want to live and spend time with their family and friends.
Carrie, you sound like you've been working closely with Mr. Brooks all over the country. And I'm very proud. I'm very proud of how you presented this.
Thank you.
You touched everything that I think we all, from attending his sessions and all, and then all this time y'all put in, you get it. You know, you really get it.
Thank you.
And you know, all of us, and we'll get a motion here in a second.
Okay.
Somebody's itching to make a motion. But some of my conversations, and this might be a good time for me to just mention this corollary with you know, you get the group, and I'm confident there were a lot of, I'm not going to say heated discussions, but differing discussions in your group and all. And I used to, when I used to meet with the whole faculty in Ashland schools, or even a single faculty, I used to talk to them about something I've used in many speeches, and I've used it with the city manager a few times, and you could talk about the city building and our staff for that matter, but I'm thinking now in terms more of our citizens and our businesses downtown, that it's easy to circle the wagons and fire in at each other. And what we're hoping happens from this open revamping of how we think about our city and our community, and that people will keep the wagons out and not pull in different directions and not circle and fight each other, but continue to help this effort. That area is going to be dedicated to the citizens of Ashland and to our business district, to help them in another way that we can do as a city. And even though we with the virus that's going on, it has certainly affected revenues in the city. It has deeply affected revenues for every business, small or large, in our downtown area as well as ancillary areas around our city. But we all have to hang in there and hold on to the best of our ability, and quality of life developments have to be a major component to keep a city alive. And Roger, early in his presentation, and the manager and I heard him 3 times, I guess, but the first time in Covington, and after the general session, we thought, he's talking to us. He is talking about Ashland. So we head to the next breakout session for him, and I think we shoved some ladies out of the way to get in the room. Not really, but we had to stand up most of the time. But it got packed again because everybody thought he was talking to them. And he's dynamic, he's on target. You know, he said, how your downtown goes is how your whole community is going to go. And we're an older community, but those people like me, we've played a role, and many of them are more satisfied with things being taken over again by younger groups and younger strata of our community, which is true, and that's what this helps do. But it belongs to all of us in the city, but it is focused on bringing people downtown Ashland. And hopefully they'll visit, frequent, shop, eat, whatever, in areas that we make an inviting place to be.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're all going to do together, right?
Yes.
We're going to do it. Have
Okay.
a motion?
Can I say something real fast?
Absolutely.
First, one, thank you for allowing me to serve on this Destination Ashland team. You know that this is my passion, and I can't agree with you more. And in quoting Roger Brooks, how your downtown goes, so does the rest of your city. That's proven fact. And that's why it's so important. I will say to the rest of the Destination Ashland team, we still have so much more to do, but I think we have at least gotten through the place that we have a plan at this point. Those first meetings were not easy. The interesting thing about putting 10 to 12 doers in a room is you want to do everything right then, and you kind of we kept getting way ahead of ourselves and beyond what our scope was. So thank you to the Destination Ashland team for muddling through that. So with all of that, I guess I want to make the motion that we name the strip from 13th to 18th from Winchester to Carter, from Winchester, Carter to Greenup, so Central Business District.
Just a little bit. Because this is a special call.
We can't do it?
Have that on the agenda. Why don't you direct me?
Will you prepare an ordinance to prepare an ordinance to name 13th to 18th Winchester, or Greenup to Carter, the district, please?
And just as a consensus here, I'm assuming my commissioners are in full accord, as is the mayor. So we'll just do it officially by ordinance. Sometimes all the time we depend on our council, okay? Sometimes we don't like what he says sometimes. We are going to go with the book, but we're all in favor of that. And let me add, I know there's so much more work to do.
Yes.
But in my history and education in the city and committees and all that, you all have done an unbelievable job to get us where we are. And the list of people that are on there aren't going to drop a ball. All of the fruit's going to come because of this hard work you've been through. But what you've accomplished in getting to this point, to me, is the hardest part.
Right.
Now we have our focus on where we want to go with this, how many activities and what they are. Every merchant in downtown Ashland should play a role in that.
Yes.
You know, and I know you want him to.
Right.
So any citizen in Ashland should feel free to make recommendations of what they'd like to see happen downtown.
Absolutely.
Hey, we'll block this street off with the drop of a hat if it'll help the downtown business district and bring activities and enjoyment to families in Ashland. That's what this is going to be all about. So,
Well, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to serve on this team.
Absolutely.
I know several times during this meeting, the pandemic has been mentioned and businesses, and I know as someone who has lived away from here and moved back, when I watch the nightly national news, I don't want to be anywhere else going through this in
Amen.
this country, and I've been a lot of other places in this country. I mean, we are blessed from the way our hospital is taking care of people in this area, to our businesses, like you mentioned, feeding us at the curb.
Yeah.
This is an amazing place to be, and
sure is.
I'm very
We love
grateful
it.
to be here.
Thank you,
So
Carrie.
thank you.
You did a
Thanks,
wonderful
Carrie.
job. You know, and without, I mean, you have to mention that we're we're reaching this juncture at probably the most difficult time we could ever reach it. And I mean, we're going to talk about activities, how to bring people downtown when we really can't do that yet. But I'll tell you what, it certainly gives the committee and the business people in the district a chance to really start brainstorming and making that list of, and as you went through a little litany of things, it doesn't have to be some big deal. It's just something that will bring somebody downtown, or people will get used to something going on in the center of town. And that's our goal too. So thanks to that whole committee. We appreciate it. Thanks, Carrie. And moving from that, our outstanding PIO is going to go over a few things with, excuse me.
Getting ahead of the game, all right.
Council, I'm still the mayor. And I depend on you every day, but we'll call on you in a second.
Just let me know.
You just want to get this meeting over as quick as you could, didn't you? Okay, Michelle, are you capable of kind of doing some audio on this, and then we can all respond as we go?
Yes. So, been researching in the history of Ashland and looking at with what we're working on in that Plaza area, and this is a map from 1877 that shows the original layout, and if you zoom in.
I made all y'all a copy, and it's in my office, so, but we want to, Michelle, we want to tag team on this a little bit, but if you denote, now you probably can't, the reason I kind of know the map is I've got it in front of me here, but I've also looked at it, but it's kind of hard to tell from here. But now, I wasn't alive then, all right? But my world when I was alive in the 40s and 50s was pretty much what you see, because I never went over what we called then Park Hill. We didn't call it Ashland Avenue. Everybody called it Park Hill. And that, in 1877, the downtown and truthfully a majority of the residential area ended at Lexington Avenue. It didn't even go all the way to Hilton when they drew that map. Now they showed the park, and you've seen pictures, I know, of the racetrack in the park. I never saw one of those either, but you know, my favorite picture I have at home is the grandstand with the huge tree going up through the roof. They actually built the roof around the tree, and it's one of my very favorites. And it had a huge grandstand there, and did a lot of horse races right there in Central Park. And that's what they were doing then in 1877. But some of the area beyond that, it talks about Armco property, and then down on the riverfront, you can't see, you really can't see it as much on this one, but they had the foundry, Commissioner Goot, the foundry is in this, one of these old pictures and all, but the circles around 16th Street, which you'll see had a different name then, and it was called Broadway, simply because it was the broadest way in Ashland. And Broadway in New York City isn't called Broadway because of the Broadway plays. It's called Broadway because it's the widest city in Manhattan. So lest you not be deterred by communities using that term, but our original name of 16th Street was Broadway. And we could just talk about that one all day. If you notice, if you go back that real quick, if you don't really have to read them, because I wanted to, and I have a larger one in my office now, the engineering put together. But if you kind of look around the buildings, there were a ton of businesses then. And I want to say that 16th Street, Broadway, went from Lexington Avenue there, which it would have easily gone from the hill, all the way to the river bank. and there was no flood wall, and probably in 77, I would assume there's only one train track there, and people, traversed that area to go to the riverfront constantly, and there was a huge abundance of river boat traffic. And a lot of the boats were the boats you see in some of these old movies where they use the sticks to traverse the river. Because, to give you an example, when we were going to do the riverfront, I wanted the riverfront construction to go about 50 yards further out in the river. So I had my fire department, they had a boat at the time, now my police have a boat. They went out into the river to put a big floating ball to show me 30, 40, 50. Do you remember that, Ryan? Well, you were around. I was mayor before. Don't act like you weren't around. But anyway.
I would have been on midnight.
You were on midnight. So they go out about 50 yards, and they put this in the water, and it was only about 3 feet deep. And I didn't realize that. So then I had to deal with the Corps of Engineers, had to deal with the Huntington Boat Club, who had members involved with the Corps of Engineers, and we rowed a boat, a Corps of Engineer boat down here under the bridge, came back up the road. They were trying to convince me why we couldn't go out that far. And we did go out considerably further than the riverfront used to go, but not near where I wanted to go. And I only illustrate this is that there are places throughout the river that you could do that, and to go in and out all these little towns, including Huntington, and further up all the way to Pittsburgh. There was so much boat traffic with furs and hides, Indian stuff, that was made, and all these things came by our riverfront, and people were going down there constantly. And then each year, right up into the time that we bought Central Park from the American Rolling Mill Manufacturing Company in 1900 for $32,500, and it's 47 acres. I've heard people say different. It's 47 acres, and it used to belong totally to that steel company. And in 1900, they ran into a little problem on payroll and made the property available to the city. And our town fathers then, God bless their souls, did the right thing, but they actually bought it over 5 years. And they paid $6,500 a year for $5 years in there somewhere. They couldn't come up with the money. That's a bunch of money. But they did buy Central Park. And up until that time, the steel company kept it mostly for their employees, and there were years where it actually had a barricade fence all the way around it, a wooden fence all the way around the park.
Really?
For security, privacy, and all that. But then they started having what they call chautauquas, which is an Indian word, and it basically means fair, festival, get together, whatever, sort of like Pogue Landing. And people came in like flea markets back then. They even had Indians. The Indians, Shawnee Indians came from southern Ohio, and Cherokee Indians came up from Tennessee and western North Carolina, and selling blankets and things that they were making at the time. Ashland was a real center of trade and commerce for all of eastern Kentucky, and we had access, to get here, horse and buggy, whatever, but it was easy to get to us. And that's why that particular map's so important to all of us, is how they laid the town out. And we kind of continued that growth, but there wasn't much over Park Hill. You were basically in the county then. And originally, that area was part of Greenup County. We were part of Greenup County, and then it's split off. Okay.
Excuse me.
So this is looking at Broadway, looking west towards Greenup County, basically. You're out in the intersection of what is now 16th. And there's Amanda and Bernice going across the street. That's just the way they dress then. You know, you see these, and there is, that's 16th and Broadway. The building to the left is whatever was there before our bank building that is there now. And I don't see Goots Men's Shop yet, Marty. But they weren't very long afterwards, I'm sure. But I want to tell you that one of the primary reasons you had such wide roads back then is for stagecoach traffic. And when you go to these county seats in Kentucky, you all been through some of these little towns, Paris, where the courthouse in the middle of the, and you go all the way around it, and that was for stagecoaches and for wagons to be able to traverse that area easily and go back the other way. It's hard to get a horse and buggy to back up. But that was pretty much the mode of transportation, and not sure the date of that. That's a little bit later, of course. And the town was full of businesses, I can assure you. And there's Winchester Avenue.
Yeah. Are you going to point out the lights?
Yeah, go back to that one. Well, you see them there too, but or go to that next one again, Michelle. No, I guess you have to go back right there.
Just the overhead lights, Mayor, on this.
Yeah, see, the overhead lights, we've never had that, and Christmas time or something like that. So let me just say that we're anticipating doing some of that overhead arch lighting certainly in the vicinity of 16th Street in Winchester, and possibly covering the district, Carrie, which kind of brings it together, and just those kind of touches, they make one heck of a difference in a small town. That's the last one, Michelle? So what I would like to say at this point is, and it's probably going to have to be by ordinance, probably. Well, if that makes it the law, that's the important thing. But the commissioners and I have talked about and thought about this new development we're doing on the corner of 16th Street, that I've been able to walk all over it, and I think some of you guys have too. They're doing, DebCon is above and beyond what I thought it would look like. It's just beautiful. It's going to be a huge area. Their pavers, their stamped concrete that he has done such a I'll go back to Witt's Concrete has done such a masterful job in stamping that, and the trees aren't in yet. We have huge pots of flowers that are going to be in there. The gates are up, but the fencing isn't up. We have bollards that we can use to block off the one-lane road through there anytime we're having a big function. We're going to work closely with the Presbyterian Church, as we have from day one in this construction. But it's going to be a real gem for our city in so many ways that we wanted to rename it and give it a historical perspective, and to reclaim a piece of this wonderful history of Ashland, Kentucky, and tying in all the commerce, all the trading, all the merchandise that went on around that area, tied in the river to it. And of course, as we've all talked many times, the tie-in with Central Park, with the 16th Street area, with the Port of Ashland on the riverfront, we have some great places for our citizens to enjoy, for visitors to enjoy. And I would entertain a motion that on behalf of our citizens as elected officials, that we reclaim part of history for that area, and have an ordinance drawn up to name that new development Broadway Square.
So moved.
I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? You all feel free to echo whatever you choose.
Just thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that thought, and I know that you were instrumental in the conversations with Roger Brooks and sort of bringing this back to where it was, and I appreciate you for that.
Well, I appreciate the work of city managers, the leadership he's done on it, our legal department, everybody that's Steve Cole, our new city engineer, Chris, our technician, who's been over there about every day, I guess. But there have been a lot of people involved. Andrew Jones, president of the bank. Andrew has been great to work with, and it's going to be obviously a great plus right next door to his bank. But I think it's going to be an iconic piece of downtown that I'm hoping all of our businesses and merchants capitalize with it. And we will be dedicating that to our citizens in the downtown business district. So I'm excited we were able to get it done. We tried to do it 15 years ago when I was mayor, and it just couldn't get to fruition. So I have to thank my finance department here at the city for being able to put some money back over several years to be able to do this. And DebCon, a local contractor, has done an unbelievable job on it. And anybody that gets a job in the city, and the manager can tell you, I sit down with them and talk to them about how important it is. This one is probably the most important because it's kind of a gift to the city that's going to live on, and it's going to be a show place for posterity. And you know how they have families come to town, they take them to Central Park, they will still do that, but I think they'll end up bringing them down to Broadway.
What's the timetable, Mayor?
We're close, Commissioner. I think either this week or by Monday they'll have the fountains tested. I think that was coming up within the next few days. So the fountains are going to be highlights of that area because they're going to shoot water differently than you've ever seen it. And then at night there's a light show. And I forget how many programs there are, but we have a filtration system, chlorinator, just like a swimming pool over there underground, and it's gonna, and that's for everybody's protection, to keeping that water clean, and we don't want you to drink it, but it's not going to hurt you if your kid sticks his hand in it. That's going to happen. We're glad to have that. But those fountains, the trees, it has a permanent stage. We're going to have movable seating so people can fit the way they want. They're just, Kim Jenkins designed the basic one. I mean, she's been on it every day. Ian Engineering engineered it because of all of the electrical and plumbing that had to go underneath there. And of course, DebCon did the construction. Everybody's just played an unbelievable role. And I will say this, we're working on an addition to the streetscape that around the corner in front of the bank that the bank is going to participate very heavily in. And it'll be part of the streetscape. It's going to head back downtown as well as up to 18th Street to tie that Broadway Square in to make that whole corner beautified. And of course, as we talked about before, and we did it when I was mayor before, our long-term goal is to take the same kind of development right down to Greenup Avenue and lead it right to the riverfront. Broadway was still all the way to the river, and so we have that big wide expanse of street across the road that we would like to, you guys may end up getting this done. Put a median down the river or down the middle with trees and all, and do the same thing on the sidewalks that we're doing at 16th Street. Mm-hmm. And that'll be in the heart of our downtown.
Great. So
you don't always get to do these. I served many. Commissioner Clark and I were talking yesterday a little bit, and I said, I was a city commissioner 4 terms, and we were able to do water expansion, water plant, new water plant, and all that. The utility type things are vitally important, don't get me wrong, life issues. But when you have an opportunity that you can do a quality of life issue like the riverfront development, painting the bridges blue and green, I get comments on that still. And it's a $4 or $5 million project the state put in, but it cost us $25,000 to change the colors of the paint instead of Battleship Gray. What an investment, that was for us. But I think us being able to put something in the heart of our downtown on behalf of our citizens that's going to enhance the business district is kind of unheard of in small town America. And that kind of shows you the fiduciary existence we have in Ashland, where we protect what we take in, we do the right thing with it, and we have an opportunity to add something like this with no increase in taxes, no increase in revenue producing from anybody. It's just kind of a gift back to the city, and I think it's gonna, I think our kids, I think everybody's gonna, really enjoy this, and I hope they do. Yes, clerk? Well, in the name, we did that.
On having
Having him draw an ordinance up. Okay, we got a motion and a second. We haven't voted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's for prepare the ordinance. Okay. And meanwhile, we can proceed,
Did
Michelle.
we vote on preparing the other ordinance?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Well then.
We have plans for signage. We have plans for flags. And our PIO is working on it, and she'll put things in front of us to make decisions on. Okay?
And just for clarification purposes, we're still working through the branding of Destination Ashland, of like the city brand, and hopefully in the next few days I'll be able to come to each of you with a draft of something.
Good.
So
Great.
we'll move forward with that.
Hand in hand. Lots of wonderful things happening. Carrie, thank you for heading this up and being here. You're welcome to stay or go if you need to. We can excuse you. Thanks again. And I thank the committee on our stream, but please carry that word, Amanda,
Absolutely.
how much we appreciate it. City manager's report.
So if this is not working, I'll just speak loudly. Mayor, one last anecdote on the Destination Ashland. When you and I were at the TLC conference, Roger went through his presentation, and if the community isn't excited about this by just hearing what's going on today, I strongly encourage them to go to MyTown TV, watch the Roger Brooks video. I think it's also on our website. It's about 2 hours. I always tell people it feels like 15 minutes when you watch it. And if that doesn't motivate you, then we need to check you for a pulse, because it's really good. But there's a key part of the presentation, Mayor, you might remember when Roger presented in Louisville. He said the number one thing that can cause this type of development to fail is politics. And I looked over at you because I wanted to see your reaction. And he goes, because politicians have to try to be everything to everybody. And it wasn't a slam, it was a compliment. It's what you all have to strive to do. This would not be here if it wasn't for the support of the elected officials. And so I just want to publicly say thank you for your all support on this and where this is headed. It's really magical. This is one of those meetings, Mayor, where there's so many good things going on. When you look at the agenda, a month ago, our last meeting, we were struggling with the budget. It was a tough process, as we all know, but we're coming out of the gate swinging. The first meeting after the budget, and we're spending 4/5, or we're committing 4/5 of the water line replacement budget. I mean, we're moving out. And I want to compliment the engineering department. Steve Cole's outside. All the work they've done. The finance department, of course, there's Steve's hand. The utilities department, just everybody that's been involved with that to get these things going. So there's been a couple-year effort. We paid a couple $100,000 to get engineering done on a lot of stuff. Here's the payoff. We can come right out of the gates. We got the plans going. We did the bid, and we can get going on that. The other thing that I'm just amped about, I worked with a couple Australians that use the term Christmas on a stick. If you go down to the water treatment plant, it's Christmas on a stick. If you see Bill Stambaugh and Frank Worsley and the whole crew down there, they are giddy. What you're looking at is semi-before. So all of the sand, all the media is out of there. So the sand and anthracite is gone. This is from a couple of weeks ago. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the old xylem under drains with the IMS caps on top of it. And then those gaps that you see is where they've already pulled up the drains. This is backbreaking labor. Had gone through a lot of sweat and tears getting the system out of there. And on the right, you can see what it looks like when those xylem under drains and filters are gone. Next, please. This is the during, and you'll get your first glimpse of what the AWI stainless steel caps look like. And just of note, that's the president of the company, Tech Coat, that's down there doing that work. I mean, talk about leading by example. This guy's in the ditch, leading, putting that in, setting the quality standards, and he's got a ton of experience. He and his crew have a ton of experience doing this. And then you'll see over again on the right-hand side is what it looks like with one of those lanes laid down. Next. And then this is nearing completion. So this is, on the left is Bay 3 Alpha. On the, in the middle is, I believe that's 3B, excuse me. And then on the far right is a zoomed in on those AWI filters. And so if you can imagine, the former filters were a couple inches taller, which reduced driving head. We're going to get a lot more performance out of these filters. And there's no grout. There's no multiple moving parts. It is very simple technology. As we briefed in here before, we went to Louisville, huge fans of them. Great warranty, warranty that nobody else can match. And you see they're just bolted into the cement. That's simple. And what's going to happen, the next slide I'll show you. This is, let's see if it'll handle it. This is this morning. Look on the left-hand side, will it go?
Oh, wow.
That's the first fill of the water in 3 Alpha. You can see the difference with 2B, excuse me, 2B filter behind it. That will become stained again. It's just the nature of what that does, but for this point in time. Then on the right-hand side, we're actually doing a backwash. And if you really geek out, I got a slow-mo video of it. That really excites me. But and then that picture in the middle is right before that executed. So the team down there, AWI is down there, Tech Code is down there. AWI's got a technician on site to make sure that this installation is complete and done the proper way. They did these 2 bays in 3 weeks. Now they've got till April to do all of them, but they are moving out and they're doing a quality job. So very complimented DevCon. At this point in time, Tech Code, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is right up there with, we've had some struggles with contractors in the past.
Oh, yeah.
These guys know what they're doing. They're the pros from Dover and just great stuff. But with that, I really wanted to show that to you. If you get a chance to get down to the plant, again, the team would love to show it to you. And it's very exciting. Our capacity is going to be, this is all going to fit into the agreed order that we got. We're going to do our capacity study so the state's going to know where we're at, and we're going to better serve our citizens when this is complete. Mayor, that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Great work. I don't think you can be, besides safety, keeping our people safe is always number one in a community. Number 2 is drinking water. And I think we've always had excellent drinking water system, and we've addressed, the problem areas we're having, and we're replacing water lines all over town. So we're on it, and I appreciate that.
Can I say one thing, Mayor?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank Commissioner Perkins right now for securing the Southern Hills Garden Club, for planting those flowers down there on the riverfront. That A is great.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Well, he's an officer in that club now, I think.
And for those people that say there's nothing to do in Ashland, I went down there last Saturday. I go down there. We go down there and eat all the time. We get takeout and go down there and eat.
Yeah.
There was boating. There was jet skiing. There was fishing. People were hiking and walking the trails. People were eating their dinners on those picnic tables safely, and everything. But that's just such an addition. And then the new mulch around the statues and everything, it was just icing on the cake. So I commend you for
They
that.
added more greenery around the statues this week.
Oh, did
Went
they?
down there.
I haven't been.
Yeah, it looks even better.
Oh, nice.
And I see cars from Ohio and Eastern
Yeah.
Kentucky
Oh, yeah.
and everything. And so it's a good thing.
Sure. Something to be proud of, Commissioner, and we are. And Commissioner Perkins learned a little thing about weeds.
You got that right.
You did a beautiful job on that, Commissioner, and now you just have to learn to put the black,
Don't put grass seed in your
put the mulch, put that black mulch down first before you do that. But it looks great. Thanks, Commissioner Goot. You're exactly right. Did a good job on that. Okay, consent agenda.
Mayor, before we read the consent agenda resolution, I would entertain a motion to remove item 8 for separate consideration, because I think Commissioner Clark has a conflict on
I
that.
can't vote on item 8 because it's with the Housing Authority.
Okay.
If somebody would move that and second that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then we have a resolution of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting, authorizing, and approving the course of action presented by the city manager on the items appearing on the consent agenda for the called meeting of the Board of City Commissioners of July 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Item 14 also.
Oh.
Given the recent guidance by the governor on
Oh, yeah, all right, yeah. Yes, we would also ask that we entertain a motion to remove item 14 for separate consideration, and I'll address that after the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, then we would have a resolution of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting, authorizing, and approving the course of action presented by the city manager on the items appearing on the consent agenda as amended for the called meeting of the Board of City Commissioners of July 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
All right, and then for separate consideration, a resolution of the city authorizing and approving the city manager's recommendation authorizing payment of invoice number 4 dated July 6, 2020 in the amount of $4,500 to Howard Engineering and Serving PLLC for the development of design, drawing, plan, specification, and bidding services for the board terrace sidewalk, stairs, and handrail project for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
And the separate consideration of item 14. This item was to be restricted to what we would consider a mass meeting of 50 or less under the governor's guidelines, but since the initial recommendation, the guidelines have changed to 10, and it's our understanding that with that knowledge that Ms. Bear of Bombshells Nail Restaurants understands that the recommendation will be not to approve that, and they are all right with that.
Okay.
So I guess we would ask for a motion that item 14 be disapproved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New business, item A.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and approving amendment number 1 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Ashland Community Kitchen, the subrecipient of $21,000 from the 2019 program year Community Development Block Grant CV funds, extending the contract 90 days to September 28, 2020.
Moved.
Any discussion?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item B.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and approving amendment number 1 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Ashland Senior Center, the subrecipient of $11,000 from the 2019 program year Community Development Block Grant CV funds, extending the contract to 123 days to October 31, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question,
Sure.
just for clarification purposes. Are we extending these contracts so that because we're still in the pandemic, is that?
It's a delay, and my understanding from the department, it's a delay in the release of the COVID funds,
Okay.
and
I was just-
in order to make the contract match up with the funds that are going to be received.
I just wanted to be clear why we were doing that. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item C.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and approving amendment number 1 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Community Assistance and Referral Service, Inc., CARES, the subrecipient of $10,000 from the 2019 program year Community Development Block Grant CV funds, extending the contract 90 days to September 28, 2020.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item D.
Item D would be for first reading with an emergency clause of an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and C.J. Hughes Construction Company, Inc. for the waterline replacement project, 34th Street in Catlettsburg and Broadway Streets in Catlettsburg, in the amount of $138,870 for the Department of Utilities, and declaring an emergency to exist to allow 2 readings of the ordinance on the same day.
Moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item E,
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Tribute Contracting and Consultants, LLC, for the water line replacement project, Simpson Road, in the amount of $665,498 for the Department of Utilities."
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item F,
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Womack Excavating, LLC, for the City of Ashland Pollard Mills Storm Drain Gutter, Curb, Sidewalk, and Paving Project, Phase 2, in the amount of $385,000, $61.15 for the Department of Community and Economic Development."
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item G,
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 5 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Debcon, Inc., increasing the contract amount by $3,458 regarding the 16th Street Plaza renovation project for the Department of Engineering."
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item H,
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky amending Article 20 of the agreement between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Ashland City Police Members Fraternal Order of Police in Ashland Lodge Number 3 is adopted by ordinance number 171, series of 2018.
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item I,
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting the job description for the position of Traffic Technician 1/2 as a replacement for the 2 job descriptions of Traffic Technician 1 and Traffic Technician 2, adopting the job description for the position of Field Supervisor, both in the Department of Public Services Division of Street Maintenance, adopting the revised job description for the position of Assistant Corporation Counsel in the Department of General Government Division of Legal, and amending the authorized positions to reflect said changes of the Policy and Procedures Compensation Plan and Classification Plan as adopted by ordinance number 51, series of 2017, as previously amended.
So moved.
any discussion?
I have a question. We are revising the Assistant Corporate Counsel job description, and I noticed you mark out part-time, but in the approved positions list, it's still listed as part-time. So I'm not sure, Manager, which, is it part-time, is it full-time? What exactly are we doing?
The part-time position was taken off of the job description. That's the intent of this. If it's the board's intent to have that not be a part-time position, then we'll take that off of the organization chart.
Okay. Which leads me to another question. We don't have a note on here about what this change does to the budget.
It's already budgeted.
What's the budget?
Manager?
We have roughly $65,000 budgeted for salary, and that is, benefits are a separate number. And if this goes up to the bottom of the pay scale for a 117, it's in the ballpark of $88,000.
So we're going from 45 to 87 or 88,
That's correct.
but we only have budgeted 65.
65, and benefits have also been budgeted. That's been carried.
Yeah, I saw that in the budget. I'm just curious how we ended up with a 65 for the position when it was approved for 45, and how we got to 88.
There was a intention to move to get him to the finding on the audit, if you all recall, in February. On if he is an exempt position, that would put him at the bottom of the pay scale, which is that roughly $88,000. As I explained to the gentleman, Mr. Workman, during the meeting, that position was limited as part-time. So I'm not sure if they've come to the same conclusion. I don't know without asking him.
Okay.
But the intent is to take him from a part-time to something else. From the original intent, the original decision of the board in April of 19 was to go 20 hours a week at $45,000. And so my understanding of the board's intent is to move him to something different. And so that if we go to not make it in a part-time position, to making it just exempt, I think the assumption is, and I can't speak for any of you, is that then is full-time work, which would be commensurate with that pay.
Okay.
Which would be accurate. So and I think this reflects the intent of the board.
No, and if that's the intent, do we not need to make that authorized positions list say that that's a full-time position, is my question. That's what I was confused about. If it's full-time, then the positions list needs to say it's full-time. If it's part-time, then it needs to be non-exempt and part-time. I don't think we fixed the problem by saying, just marking out part-time in the job description and leaving it part-time on the,
I agree with you.
it's going to be the same finding.
We'll just
So-
make that change in the budget, in the terminology.
It's just the table that the Commissioner's talking about is just our authorizations document. So they
Yeah.
list the positions as approved positions, full-time, part-time, and then we got
Gotcha.
vacancies to track.
Yeah.
But I think, Commissioner, you would make the changes after the amended job description is adopted, then you would make the change.
That's what the intent of this is.
The attorney's positions, much like yours, are not by the hour, they're by the job. And they're not, it'd be 60 hours or 30 one week or whatever, but the important thing, part of that is benefits.
And this also corrects a violation, potential violation, employment violation, is that correct?
I think it goes back to what I was saying before. If the intent of the board is to have a position as a part-time, and you declare it part-time and not put exempt on there, I think you can go either way.
Yeah, I think you can correct it by saying non-exempt and leaving it alone, making it part-time and making it non-exempt.
If the intent is to go part-time, you take the exempt off, it doesn't just detract from what you're saying, Mayor, the work is the work is the work.
I got it.
This is not to be confused with the contract position, which we did previously with consistent corporation counsel.
I got you.
If you get above 30 or 35 hours, I believe it's 30, then benefits are paid. And again, the audit finding, Commissioner Perkins, was basically that he was not being paid at the low end of that salary based on him being in a exempt position,
So we were not compensating correctly at that time.
without knowing that it wasn't a part-time position. And so I can't speak for the auditor. We have to go back to the auditor and find out what his interpretation is. That's my understanding.
But the audit finding from the auditor was that we were not compensating correctly.
Right. And then, like I said,
That's good.
thank you.
Okay, anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Item,
No. Sorry.
you had one no, okay. Item J.
First reading and approval of an ordinance, titled an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and approving change order number 2 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Granite Inliner LLC, increasing the contracting amount of $121,044.98, adding extensive point repairs on Auburn Avenue and increased sewer cleaning on Winchester Avenue from 39th Street to 55th Street for the Department of Utilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Anything else? We got them all the items? Motion to go in executive session to discuss discussion and possible action on individual personnel matters.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Marty was second.
We're in executive session. Only individual personnel will be discussed. No action will be taken. And we'll be back shortly. We'll let the record reflect we returned at 1:19.
Mayor, at this time, based on the discussions in executive session, I would entertain a motion from the commission to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and enter into on behalf of the city of Ashland a written agreement extending the term of the employment contract of city manager Michael Gracie to and including the first day of February 2021, otherwise in all the same terms and conditions as the original agreement.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Let me say, during the discussion part of this is, and I think I've said it before publicly, and I've said it to him, I also will tell him when I think he needs to do something differently or whatever, but you've done an excellent job. You're an outstanding city manager. And all of us grow and learn. Me too. You know, if you think sometimes I'm mentoring you, I get mentored also. And as long as that's happening, I'm still alive. You know, I'm still making things happen. And I think one of the things that I'll have to adjust to in about 6 months is not being significant in particular areas, like in my city, you know, and in my school system when I was there. But you all will face it sometime is I've never retired. I've never been not involved in something. And at some point, that's going to be the toughest adjustment I make, that I'm not significant. I'm not helping make good things happen for people.
I've been insignificant all my life, Mayor. You'll get used to it.
That's just what our wives say sometimes, Jim. She didn't mean it. She didn't mean that. And I know better. But this allows manager a new commission, the new commission, to go ahead and work with you for future things. But please don't interpret that as anything but that. And I know you don't. Okay, motion adjourned.
Well, can we
do we call a
adjourn
vote?
in
Yeah,
mem-
vote?
Oh,
Do we all vote?
did
I don't
we
believe
vote?
so.
We did.
Okay, let's
All in
vote.
favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn in memory of Connie Rilliford.
We'll let the record reflect that we adjourned this meeting in memory of Connie Relford.
Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, on your way to Chicago.